Hello. So today we did a lab to demonstrate convection currents and how that relates to the movement in the mantle of the earth. So on the Google Classroom post, you should be able to find the lab sheet that has the instructions for part 1 and part 2. The student sheet, which has your post-lab questions and a little reading that you should do. And then also a diagram of what we're going to be doing today. If you cannot print this out, it's totally fine. Remember that you can just write this in your notebook. You don't have to print it out. This all goes on page 17 in your notebook. So first thing, if you're following along on the lab sheet, we want to observe the jar of fluid. So this is called rheoscopic fluid. And you want to write down on page 17 observations of this fluid. So what do you notice about it? What do you notice about how it moves? So record that on page 17. And now I'm going to set it up on top of these 2 wooden blocks. I'm going to move it a little bit closer to the camera. And I have a candle lit underneath, so I'm going to give it just a few minutes, and it's going to start to heat up this fluid, and you'll start to see some movement. So you can sort of start to see it happening. The fluid is getting heated up by the candle, and that hot liquid is beginning to rise to the top of the jar. Once it hits the top of the jar, it has to make room for the rest of the warm liquid. So when it hits the top of the jar, it moves to the outsides, cools down, and then drops to the bottom.